A Japanese salaryman is shot and dies but is reincarnated by God to an alternate world as 15-year-old Lucille with the magic skills of martial arts, master luck and holy healing. Having accepted his new circumstances, he heads to nearby Maritoni City and presents himself as a trainee healer. He learns healers get special benefits due to their skills, but learns from adventurer Bazin most citizens hold them in contempt since the entire Healers Guild is corrupt and either charge extortionate prices for healing or simply let people who can't pay die of their injuries. Sensing his potential, Captain Lumina of the Holy Paladins helps get him membership at the guild with secretaries Karuru and Monica. To learn healer skills, Lucian opts for Spartan training, studying and casting spells repeatedly until his mastery levels improve. A difficult method with the benefit of being free as he doesn't have to pay a guild school for tutoring. He decides to make money at the Adventurers Guild where injuries are common and encounters Bazin again. Just as an adventurer party arrives all severely wounded, Lucille immediately offers his help. Lucille begins healing but runs out of magic due to inexperience and faints, resulting in one adventurer dying. Though the others all thank him, he blames himself for the death. At the Adventurers Guild, he strikes a deal with Secretary Nanara and Guild Master Broad to provide healing to adventurers in exchange for martial arts training and wages of 1 silver a day. Broad's brutal training involves improving his stamina, flexibility, and strength, which Lucille endures only through sheer stubbornness. Broad eventually shares that the Adventurers Guild is on the decline thanks to the Healers Guild. Experienced adventurers are forced to retire due to crippling injuries. Novice adventurers are forced to go on quests without adequate training and either die or return with injuries they can't afford to have healed, preventing them earning money until they heal naturally. Sickened by this, Lucille swears to heal anyone who needs him for free. Straight away, more injured adventurers arrive who are surprised when Lucille heals them free of charge. Broad decides to change their deal. If Lucille continues healing for free, he can live at the guild, receive wages and meals, and be trained in martial arts by Broad every day. When word gets around Lucille heals for free, most adventurers stop treating him with distrust. As part of his training, Lucille is fed gigantic meals by guild chef Grolga, along with Substance X, a truly disgusting potion that allows all skills to increase slightly faster. Due to its foulness, no one else bothers to use it, but Lucille forces himself to drink a glass with every meal. Lucille's popularity increases when he heals a cat folk adventurer, showing he has no prejudice against them. As time passes, his training intensifies. He gets more healing requests, and his servings of Substance X increase from a glass to a jug. After a month, Lucille has to return to the Healers Guild to begin healing for money, since he is required to pay his guild fees to retain membership. Surprisingly, Broad gives him enough money for a whole year of fees, ensuring he can continue healing and training at the Adventurers Guild for a year without worry. Upon his return, Broad rewards him with a book on holy magic that will allow Lucille to learn how to also cure illnesses as well. Broad sends Lucille to help in the guild's butchery room, helping Grolga's brother Galba turn monsters into meat. This turns out to be training on identifying how to kill monsters, leaving Lucille nauseous until Nanara consoles him. The secretaries are tasked with teaching Lucille about the world. Lucille learns he lives in the St. Cyril Republic, home of the Healers Guild headquarters and the only territory where slavery is illegal. 6 months later, Nanara notices Lucille's clothes no longer fit his more muscular physique and takes him shopping. They find Monica stabbed. Lucille heals her, and Monica reveals the Healers Guild has been kidnapping people who owe them money and selling them to foreign countries where slavery isn't illegal. Monica spoke out against this and was nearly murdered for it. The culprit is most likely Badakuli, owner of the territory's largest healing clinic, though there is no evidence. Broad hires Monica as receptionist to keep her safe. A monster attack causes dozens of adventurers to be injured, and though Lucille heals them until he faints again, several still die. The year comes to an end, and Lucille plans to leave to begin earning money and one day open a clinic, open to all species and with fair prices. Karuru is able to promote him to rank C due to his improved skill levels, allowing him to buy spell books of more advanced magic, though his description of his training makes her suspect he is a masochist. Unfortunately, he can't afford the membership fees, never mind the promotion fee as well. Broad appears with enough money and even pays an entire gold coin for Lucille to stay at the Adventurers Guild another year. The adventurers celebrate his return with a party, and Lucille has an embarrassing moment with Monica. Elsewhere, Badakuli is furious his profits have halved thanks to Lucille, and storms into the Adventurers Guild to demand he stop healing for free and come work at his clinic. Remembering Badakuli was the one who had Monica attacked, Lucille refuses, and Badakuli flees when Broad threatens him. Realizing Lucille now has a powerful enemy, Brod shifts Lucille to gladiator training and doubles his Substance X portions, furthering his reputation as the masochist zombie healer. In revenge, Bada Cooley writes a letter to guild headquarters praising Lucille's skills and recommending he be promoted and transferred to a prestigious clinic far away once his year with the adventurers expires. 6 months pass and Lucille receives a letter from the Shirul Holy Church, signed by the Pope, informing him of his transfer to work at the church. Brod uses his connections to ensure Bada Cooley can't have Lucille attacked there. Everyone also takes an interest in Lucille's love life. So far he hasn't had a single lover despite being adored by the secretaries. Everyone unanimously agrees this is Brod and Grolga's fault caused by Lucille's packed training schedule, and bad breath caused by Substance X. The year finally ends and Lucille is promoted as a Ranka healer. He asks Brod to create a training course where novices learn from experienced adventurers and avoid the mistakes that leave them relying on healers like Bada Cooley. He also says goodbye to Nanara and Monica, who helped support him the last 2 years, and promises to return one day. Brod promotes him to a Ranky adventurer and gifts him a magic item storage bag and some money. Lucille finally departs with Bazin and his party volunteering to escort him safely. Lucille arrives at Holy City and goes to the local adventurers guild where he terrifies everyone by asking for 3 barrels of Substance X. At the church he is met by Father Granhart, who is his new supervisor, and also Lumina, who commands the church's all-female security, the Valkyrie Paladins. Granhart agrees to discuss Lucille's concern over healer corruption with his fellow priests. He also informs Lucille he has been promoted to a deacon exorcist. Lumina informs him he will be working in the crypts under the church, which, due to the number of magic users buried there, turned itself into a labyrinth some years ago with undead that must be culled regularly to stop them escaping. Exorcist Jordo shows Lucille the labyrinth and how to purify undead before quickly leaving, unable to stand the stench of dead bodies. Lucille is unaffected as it still smells better than Substance X. Lucille figures out a faster way of purifying without having to recite a spell every time by applying the spell to weapons. By the end of the day he successfully reaches the 2nd floor. Lucille visits church shop manager Catalia, who converts his zombie crystals into over 4,000 points, an unexpectedly high amount. Lucille uses his points buying a holy silver sword and short spear. Granhart continues looking out for him, though his motive is unclear. Lucille reaches floor 5, after which zombies become more numerous and traps appear. On floor 10 he finds a door he is certain contains a dungeon boss. Jordo is surprised Lucille found the door already, as it took him years to go that deep and no one has defeated that room yet. Lucille enters the room and finds he can't use his magic. The boss appears, a wight that he defeats despite its wand negating his magic, opening a staircase to an even deeper floor 11. He returns his loot to Catalia, who, seeing the robe and wand, drags Lucille into an emergency meeting with the Pope herself. The robe and wand proves the wight must have been Ozenario, an exorcist who disappeared in the labyrinth 12 years ago. As loot, the items belong to Lucille, but he agrees to sell them to the Pope for a magic sack which can hold far more than his magic bag. Lucille asks Lumina to include him in the Paladin's daily training. Lumina agrees after hearing the risk he took facing the wight. After receiving the magic sack, Lucille explores to floor 15 in a single day. Joining the Paladins, Lucille can barely maintain their fitness routine and is heavily criticized for dual-wielding a sword and spear as it lacks defense. Lucille loses every duel but discovers in teams he is invaluable support on defense and healing, and his team wins every time. Entering floor 16, Lucille switches to sword and shield and soon reaches floor 20, where he discovers another boss room. After weeks of paladin training, he defeats the floor 20 wight and retrieves its magic bracelets, proving it was once a high priest who disappeared in the labyrinth. The Pope reveals she believes all who disappeared since the labyrinth manifested are now wights and enemies of the church. The Pope hopes one day the labyrinth will be defeated and revert back to a peaceful cemetery for deceased healers, but for decades has been stuck using healers unsuited for combat just to prevent zombies escaping. In exchange for the bracelets, Lucille receives anti-undead armor and weapons. Lucille begins healing adventurers at the local guild. The adventurers agree to cease hostilities against clinics and change his nickname. Unfortunately, they change it to Saint Weirdo. Lucille gathers gossip from the adventurers. Brod has been forcing adventurers to train with him non-stop. Golgar has been sneaking Substance X into adventurers' food, and several receptionists are getting married. Worrying Lucille it might be Nanelo or Monica. 6 months later, Lucille defeats the floor 30 bosses, 3 wights. His use of Substance X is noticed by Catalia and the Pope, who reveals it was invented by a sage to unlock latent magic. But it was a failure. Plus, its real name is actually God's Lament due to its foulness. The Pope predicts thanks to Substance X, Lucille may become a sage within a few years. The Pope reveals the 3 whites were girls she once knew. Catalia gives Lucille the official list of Substance X's effects. By sacrificing one of the 3 primal desires, food, sleep, or sex, the drinker gains increased physical growth, skill enhancement, and protection from illness. Lucille is horrified to realize, with his love of food and sleep, that he must have lost his desire for sex, explaining why he is still a virgin despite being surrounded by beautiful women. He resolves to defeat the dungeon so he can quit Substance X, fall in love, and have lots of sex. 1 month later, Lucille reaches floor 40 but hesitates before facing the boss. At the Adventurers Guild, he encounters mute cat folk girl Sheila. Just as he discovers Monica and Nanela are there to visit him, Sheila hurries him to the slums to heal her father from Yenis City, attacked by bandits. Lucille also heals 6 slum dwellers. Monica and Nanela explain they are not the receptionists getting married, and Lucille is furious to discover the local guild master forgot to pass on a year's worth of letters from his friends. Lucille spends 3 days with Monica and Nanela before they return home. Sheila's father negotiates with the Pope to open a healer's guild in Yenis and credits Lucille with his success. Lucille discovers Sheila has damaged vocal cords from a childhood accident and secretly casts an experimental healing spell, hoping it may one day allow her to speak. After dueling Lumina, she deems him not ready for the floor 40 boss, so he trains for another 6 months before confronting the White, a Knight Templar who used to lead the Paladins. After a duel lasting 7 days, Lucille defeats him and obtains a spell book as loot. He discovers the door back to the surface has sealed itself, trapping him. With no other option, he is forced to keep fighting to deeper floors and eventually reaches the floor 50 boss room. Lucille reads the spellbook and learns Sanctuary Circle, which defeats the floor 50 boss, but it briefly returns to its human appearance first. The final level 51 only contains an undead holy dragon, which Lucille defeats with Sanctuary Circle. Temporarily cured of being undead, the dragon reveals the labyrinth was constructed 50 years ago as a prison to hold him. As Lucille has a pure heart, he grants Lucille his blessing and tasks him to save his fellow dragons. Before he dies, the dragon tells Lucille many secrets. Catalia is relieved upon his return, as Lucille has been missing 6 months, and Broad and hundreds of adventurers were threatening to invade the church. Lucille reports the truth to the Pope. All holy dragons were cursed with undeath by an evil god and imprisoned. As a result, dark magic has spread uncontrollably. As the next hero won't be born for 40 years, the next demon lord may be too strong for that hero to defeat. The Pope orders this kept secret until she can decide what to do. As a reward, she reveals the reason Lucille is still level 1. The gods see Substance X as cheating and limit its users to level 1 as a penalty. For defeating the labyrinth, Lucille is made a bishop and S-rank healer. With his new authority, Lucille creates strict guidelines for healers' fees. Elsewhere, Sheila finally speaks and Nanela and Monica attend the secretary's wedding, where they both catch the bouquets. Make sure to subscribe and turn on alerts so you can see more videos like this. Thanks for coming to watch.